Speaking of like a lack of regimen or routine or whatever you want to call it, Liz Cambage, formerly of the WNBA, but she since left the WNBA to focus on mental health. Uh, she was more talked about for what she did off the court than what she was doing on the court, which is her OnlyFans. So Liz Cambage was, I don't want to say she was on the cutting edge of, women in the spotlight going to OnlyFans, but she was a part of the early wave. I would say that in terms of like celebrity, or at the very least celebrity adjacent women who, in addition to their day jobs, quote unquote, were also doing OnlyFans. And so somebody caught up with with Liz Cambage, who talked about how WNBA salaries are, you know, are pale in comparison to the money that you can make doing things like OnlyFans, and how cool it is that more and more women these days are embracing whatever and going to OnlyFans and these various other outlets to, continue to bring the money coming in. So this says Liz Cambage criticizes WNBA salaries when asked if she makes more from OnlyFans than playing ball. Former WNBA star Liz Cambage, who currently plays for the Sichuan Yuanda of the Women's Chinese Basketball Association, has offered some advice for WNBA stars struggling with their salaries. Earlier this year, Cambage started an OnlyFans account. And in an interview with TMZ, she was asked about her experience with the adult content platform. When asked if it's true that she's made more on OnlyFans than she made in her entire WNBA career, she laughed. Asked if she thinks her experience with OnlyFans will encourage other women in basketball to seek other revenue streams, she said that they just get it how they can. So I'm going to skip through all of the quotes. In 2022, the four-time WNBA star announced that she would be stepping away from the WNBA for the time being to focus on healing and personal growth. Per the Express Tribune, she said earlier this year that she made $1.5 million in less than a year on OnlyFans. Several WNBA players have sought to supplement their income from playing basketball in the league, with Cameron Brink recently joining Unrivaled for a reported six-figure income. Meanwhile, Rihanna's Fenty Beauty announced that it'll be offering beauty and skincare contracts to WNBA players. So here is Liz Cambage talking about WNBA players and whatnot, hopping on the OnlyFans to make money.
Is, and tell me if this is true, that you made more with that new OnlyFans account.
It's not new.
Than your whole WNBA career.
Yeah.
Is that fact?
You know, the WNBA salary is not that hard to make more money doing anything.
No, that's real. But like, how does that feel? Like in hindsight.
In hindsight?
Because you're such a successful player too.
I feel like women gotta make more money playing the sport they love.
Do you think that like this, like your experience will like draw people into making money other ways like that?
I think everyone's just gotta get it how they can.
Well, look at I like the mink coat.
As I'm standing,
as you're standing here in the mink coat with the diamond tees, like obviously it was a smart move. So
Bugs Bunny, baby.
Hey, you gotta get the carrots, baby. No, so do you have any wisdom to WNBA players who would be like, follow your footsteps, maybe?
Just be you. Stick to your personality. I feel like back in the day, there wasn't like an opportunity or a space for women to be like who they are, but now I feel like women are being more girly or like earning their sexuality more, and it's fun. And even like the stud buds, like seeing those girls pop off, like I love tea so much, like that's going global. Like
yeah.
I'm sitting with Diplo Wesley in Ibiza in London. We're laughing about it, so he loves them. But it's just dope to see, like, it getting more popular and crossing. Yeah. Like, Wesley doesn't know any other girls to name in the WNBA, and he's talking to me about Courtney and T. Like, no, that's really cool.
Being more comfortable with who they are, and it's becoming more popular. Wow. So, jeez. So yeah, man, there's Liz Cambage there, caping for all of the, the WNBA players, as well as I would say that's a facsimile for women at large, I would say, who are embracing this, alternative ways of making money and doing things like OnlyFans to supplement the income. So what do you make of those comments coming from her?
I mean, I'm not surprised, because this was circling around the internet when she first created that page and first made that announcement about how much more money she was making doing OF than playing basketball. So I'm not surprised here that she's doubling and tripling down on that, because that's what she about. She on that, and the dangerous rhetoric here when it comes to finding their sexuality and it's fun.
Correct. Yeah.
Um,
or don't forget, she also said being who they are, or embracing
being who you are, just embracing all of you and just popping your thought pocket, because that's how you do that, right? So the dangerous rhetoric there, definitely not a fan of that. Okay. Because that is extremely misleading. Just tapping in from the previous conversation, due to these lack of disciplines that are going on right now, it makes people open and susceptible to, when they do find their sexuality, it's the extreme version of it, and and to touch on discipline right quick, being a football person, the service academies, they beat a lot of teams that they shouldn't beat because they play a disciplined, uniform type of football. And if you're not disciplined, you're going to lose against Army, against Navy, against Air Force. And their whole offense, their whole way that they go about making sure that they have a competitive advantage is just knowing that our rigid way of doing things, fundamentally sound, will beat all of this goofy stuff that's going on out there. So in turn, being a disciplined person makes you tough to beat, if you will. And when she's sitting here talking about finding your sexuality and embracing who you are, when people don't have a regimented way about their life and set goals and stuff like that, then they are undisciplined, and they're susceptible to any type of convincing that this is what your sexuality is. And honestly, it changes every year, every month, of whatever you're supposed to be into sexually or whatever. And so if you don't have any defenses up, then you're likely to get beat. And then these dangerous rhetorics float around in your brain. And then, because everybody has that innate thing in them to be either one way or another when it comes to a myriad of things, and in this case, sexuality. So a lot of these girls that do come up, herself included, clearly didn't have a regimented system or a culture around them that would prevent them from thinking that giving their box away actually increases their value. Thinking that selling their bodies for financial gain or whatever is something that should be idolized. And so all in all, I think that, much like in the last conversation, I think these two tie in very well. And I think that this Cambridge young lady, Cambridge or whatever her name is, she's the wrong person to run up on and ask about stuff like this, because she will be an advocate for it. And but of course, TMZ is going to think that this is somewhat of a story, and spread more toxicity on the internet. I've got more to say about this, but I'll let you go ahead and take a swing. What are your thoughts on Miss Liz Cambage saying that, hey man, if you want to go on OF and do your thing. I'm not here to stop you because, well, you can make a lot of money doing it. What are your thoughts, man?
Well, of course, you know how I feel about this. I think she's an agent of chaos. She represents what I talk about when I talk about the aggressive normalization and mainstreaming of sex work. This is what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
It's this kind of talk, it's these kinds of talking points when you say things like, and again, I'm not giving her credit for being cognizant of this. She just kind of sounds like she's just trying to make money and do whatever. So I don't think she realizes what
No,
she's saying when she says it, you know.
she on
But like,
autopilot.
yeah, she doesn't realize what she is saying when she says it. But when you say things like women embracing who they are or embracing their sexuality, you know what I'm saying, or becoming more comfortable with that kind of stuff, essentially you're equating all of those various baseline themes to sex working.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing because you're saying to 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 have a greater understanding of all of these things is tantamount to joining OnlyFans.
Selling
So
bond.
when right, so when you join, so when you become a sex worker, it's indicative of you embracing who you are and your sexuality and all of that kind of stuff. That to me is a form of dangerous rhetoric for
It
sure.
is. Yeah.
Now, people might not glean it that way consciously, but trust me, people are gleaning it that way subconsciously.
Mhm.
It's those kinds of talking points that permeates everyday conversation and understanding and creates an environment in which not just celebrity women but just women in general will decide that there's really no moral hangup tied to making the leap to do this. It's these kinds of talking points that make that kind of decision easier because it's like, okay, over time, I am to believe that if I were to do this, I'm actually embracing who I am truly. So, what's the harm in it? So, of course, I think it's dangerous rhetoric and I don't agree with it. But I will also say, to be consistent with how I have spoken about this OnlyFans stuff on the channel in previous times, I typically like I really don't blame the women per se. I feel like women are just capitalizing off of an opportunity that is being presented to them because of the way that the world is currently set up. I don't really blame them. They're capitalizing off the market, but they didn't create it. I mostly hold responsible the individuals who are creating the marketplace and allowing it to persist, which is mostly men. Men are mostly the consumers of Liz Cambage as well as everybody else's OnlyFans. They're the ones who are spending the money. They're the ones who are opening up the floodgates for her and individuals like her to occupy these various spaces to make this money. If you don't create the market, then the agents of the market can't come in and make the money. It's very simple. So I don't really blame them per se. I blame the men and the modern sexual marketplace for persisting. Having said that, the more I hear people talk like this, and this takes us back to a topic that we discussed last week. The more that I hear people talk like this,
Mhm.
the more I will continue to roll my eyes at these ongoing conversations over and over again, speaking to the detrimental aspect of male misogyny and the patriarchy. Um, I just don't. I really want to not hear it as much anymore because I really feel like we cannot have like you can't have it both ways. Like we are right now experiencing a nexus event in real time in which we blame the patriarchy for all the problems in the world and we blame male misogyny and the propensity of relegating women to being mere objects of men's sexual desire. We blame all of these things ad nauseum with a lot of what's wrong with the world, while at the same time seemingly being okay with allowing women to make money off of that very same power structure.
Mhm.
I kind of feel like if you really want to see it go away, you have to be courageous enough in your convictions to not make money off of it. But if you elect to make money off of it, it kind of tells me you're kind of okay with it. And if we're all okay with it, why continue to have these conversations over and over again, talking about the problems inherent in it. So that's my whole thing with this, because clearly we see people benefiting off of this stuff. She's making $1.5 million, and you got these other women on here doing this, making their money, and they don't seem to have a problem with raking in the cash, but they'll also want to unmute and talk about how they're victimized by it. I don't understand how you can make that make sense. Although I am sure people will do it. I am sure that there are a lot of people out there who can very smartly educate me on how you can have both things going on simultaneously. But maybe I'm just a dumb idiot who doesn't get it. I'm willing to accept that notion, although I doubt that that's the case. So I just want to see, I feel like we have to either go one direction or the other. Down the path in which we acknowledge that there are problems with the patriarchy, but there are also opportunities with it, or we go down the other path in which we denigrate the patriarchy and truly move away from it. But if we're going to move away from it, you can't have people, women, claiming that they are both victims of it, but also profiting off of it. Those are two counterintuitive notions. I don't understand how you can state one with the other, but a lot of people will do it anyway. So go figure.
And I've said this before when it comes to, this topic of, women selling their bodies and stuff like that. And, I mentioned it before, when a man is off of his square, he will do stuff. He will buy sex. When a woman is off of her square, she'll sell it. And there's a lot of people that are not on their square. There's some people that don't even know they have to be on a square.
Yeah.
Which speaks to what we were saying about her, is that she don't even know what she's talking about. She's on autopilot. When you're not on your square, somebody else is thinking for you. And when somebody else is thinking for you, somebody else is talking for you. So when she's sitting there saying whatever she's saying, and we saying she don't even know what she's saying, that means somebody else is telling her to talk like that, and she don't even know it. She busting it wide open on OF, and she don't even know why. Because she doesn't even know she has to be on a square. And the people that she's talking to are other people who are in that same boat that aren't even aware a square exists.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they've heard of the square, they don't see the importance of standing on that. So when you have that as the baseline of American culture, you're going to have the overwhelming majority of women selling sex and men buying it. There was a big old controversy on TikTok last month, about this teacher who's calling herself Teacher Bae. And she's sitting around here, outfit of the week or outfit of the day, and you know what I'm saying, twirling her non-BBL or BBL and skin tight clothes. Bodycon is what they're calling it. And there's this whole debate online of this is not appropriate for teachers and stuff. Who you trying to look good for and all this of this. Yeah, but you're talking to a person that doesn't have a square.
Yeah.
So she's going to go do that. And it doesn't matter that it's happening at a school where there's children at. Boys or girls that don't need to be seeing that. She doesn't care. She doesn't see it. So she's just going to go do it. The clicks and views going viral and stuff like that. She thinks it's a joke. She got to teach these kids fractions. But she thinks it's a joke, and she's just looking at her page and seeing how many notifications she's got. This is where we're at. So yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying before from the last conversation, man. We're talking about dudes that are sit behind a keyboard that don't even know that they need to be on a square somewhere
or on their phone. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And which adds to the whole notion that American society has trained the people that doing the right thing is not cool. And they said that doing everything wrong is the cool thing. Hey, Ferris Bueller, bad guy in motorcycle jacket, motorcycle gets the girl, this and that. And that other guy over there is a square. is what they would call him. All of these gangster guys talking on what's that guy's name? Adam 22's podcast on Pyru and on Crip. I'm not trying to disrespect you guys. All right, on O Block. All right, and they're sitting there saying all of these things, and they will call somebody that's a civilian a square, as if it's a derogatory term. And they'll sit there and tell you, no, it's not derogatory. You just ain't about this life, bro. You're a square. And why would they call those people a square? Because they're not in the streets. Because they're not doing the wrong thing. They're actually standing on a square. So when you're sitting there, you're doing square business, that means you're doing business the right way. So when you're standing on your square or being a square, that doesn't make you a loser as it's made in American society. So young men grow up trying to not be a square. Young women try not to be a square. And in their universe, it's being a pushover, being a traditional woman. You know, so the values of everybody that's coming up nowadays is literally predicated to their destruction. So then, of course, when they become adults, the men buy it and the women sell it. And it's not everybody, because not everybody got caught up in the wash, but there's a lot of people who did. So the best thing that you can do is when you're out here and you're doing your vetting process, when it comes to interpersonal relationships or romantic, you know, the best thing is to do is to determine who you're talking to. Yeah. Somebody that don't even know what they're saying because somebody else is talking for them and moving for them and behaving for them, or somebody that knows who they are. And the people that know who they are and have a purpose and are on their square, those are people you need to connect with. So all in all, you know, a valuable lesson here, you know, because we literally saw somebody, have somebody else speak for them, you know, in 4K with this young lady saying what she's saying. So, a lot said there, man, but, you know, hopefully you guys were picking up what I was putting down.
For sure. And, you know, to speak to your point about American culture being a culture of consumerism, like even individuals who are cognizant of the presence of a square, they believe that being on their square is getting money or getting to some kind of a bag. Mm-hmm. So in a roundabout way for her, and I'm not even going to speak, I don't know what's in her head. Mm-hmm. So I'm not even going to necessarily suspect that she even understands these notions or concepts. But hypothetically speaking, if she did, talking like that to her, being on OnlyFans is being on her square. Yeah, because she's getting to the money.
Yeah, getting to the bag.
Because American culture is devoid of value sets and it's just getting the money.
Correct.
So by any means, if you're getting to money, what American culture is impressing upon the population is you are on your square, even if you're doing it in weird, suspect, value avoidance ways.
And I'm a hater, you know, because she's getting to the bag and I'm not.
Yeah, or you know, hater, weirdo, lame, whatever other words, whatever other trigger words that they try to use to characterize that kind of thought process. But yes, yeah. So that's the whole thing about it is, even if you are doing something like this, like no one, her, like people who champion what she's doing, you can't convince them that what she's doing is not being on her square. Rather, it's the exact opposite. Her hopping to OnlyFans or any other woman who is either a direct or sex worker adjacent is being on their square because they're getting to this money.
And that just shows you how I just got co-opted. But I'm with you, bro.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's if they even recognize the existence of the notion of a square, of being on a square in the first place. But which I don't believe she does. Like I said, I don't think she knows what she's saying when she says it. And to the legion of others who might be impressionable enough to be influenced by comments like that, they don't know the difference either. They're just looking for enough rationalizations to at some point in their existence become comfortable enough with taking the leap. And over time, there will be enough rationalizations banked in for them to become comfortable enough to make that decision. And that's what I refer to when I talk about the aggressive mainstreaming of sex work. Listen to what she just said. I'm not making this stuff up, people. This is what's going on. And it is a direct tie into our last conversation because it does speak to the presence of an entire society devoid of values.
Yeah, man. It's tough to shout out to Bugs Bunny. I got nobody for that one, man.
Yeah.